No heroics into Sandoval, please.
Cheers, Jeff.
Hey guys, it's James here. Welcome back to another F1 2020 My Team Career Mode video. We are here for episode number 4 of Season 2 at the Chinese Grand Prix. If you did miss the last episode in Vietnam, make sure to check that one out. It was a pretty good race. We did another bold one-stop strategy after it worked so well in Bahrain, and we ended up picking up a few points for the team. Obviously, George couldn't capitalise on his excellent qualifying, which was a bit frustrating, but a decent result for the team nonetheless. And heading over to the R&D tree, we currently have the 5th best car, but we've got some big upgrades on the way, which is really good as well. We're just going to advance time towards the Grand Prix, but something has failed.
We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for this weekend has failed. Check your R&D screen to order any redevelopments.
So as we can see, that durability upgrade has totally failed. We haven't even got the resource points to redo it. So we're just going to advance time until we can get the resource points to restart that upgrade, because it's essential.
I know we were expecting some new developments to come through, but some of them have failed the quality control. Make sure you indicate what you'd like redeveloped via the R&D screen.
So we've just had that major gearbox upgrade redeveloped, so that'll come after the next Grand Prix, and it has cost us a few resource points, which is frustrating, but at least it'll be done soon enough. But we're now just going to advance time towards qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. So here we are then, for qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. We're going to go over and check the setup. Pretty much the golden setup, but just a little notch more rear wing. So we'll be running 3-7 wings here around China. And I'm going to show you my second lap. Our first lap was pretty good, put us in P8 on the grid. Just coming across the line, tiny bit down on the delta. We turned in a little too early for this first corner complex, but then made up the little bit of time by hitting the apex of turn 2 perfectly. Through turn 3, it's important to get the power down nicely before the flat-out blast down towards turn 6. Obviously, we've seen many great overtakes over the years, especially Daniel Ricciardo on Valtteri Bottas for the lead in 2018. Head through the first sector, 1.5 tenths up, which is very promising. Lost a little bit of time at the hairpin, but then through this left-right section, a staple in every single Hermann Tilke circuit. We run a little bit wide there. That's cost us quite a lot of time, but then through this double left-hander section, it's almost a sort of double apex corner. We've gained a huge amount of time back into the green zone as we're looking to build on what is now 11th place, as others have improved. We are the last track car on circuit in qualifying, so it'll be interesting to see where we stack up as we get a decent exit out onto the longest straight in Formula 1. We're going to see plenty of overtakes, especially with our brilliant engine power, and the fact that we are also running quite low wings as well, 3-7, so other guys might be running a lot more front wing. I think the default setup is 5-6 wings for the AI, so we will be very snappy on the straights. We're 3 tenths up on our previous best as we come towards the final corner. We're in 13th at the moment, but I'm sure we're bound to improve on that qualifying position. Where does it put us as we come across the line with a purple final sector? 6th place on the grid. Brilliant qualifying. Really good. So if we have a look at the qualifying results, we've out-qualified George by 3 tenths, so it's very close in the midfield, but we're up in 6th position for the race tomorrow. Valtteri Bottas snatches pole position away from one of the Red Bull cars, but we're going to be starting tomorrow in 6th.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position and Alexander Albon lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, James, Norris, Perez, Ricciardo and Charles Leclerc, Vettel, Russell, Daniel Kvyat and Stroll, Ocon, Raikkonen, Kevin Magnussen, and Roman Grosjean. Giovinazzi, Latifi, Joe, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So here we are then for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix, starting in 6th, which means we have to start on the tyres which we qualified on, which is a bit frustrating because it means we're going to have to pit so early in this Grand Prix, and the one stop which I wanted to do is going to be absolutely impossible to do, meaning we'll have to do a 2-stop with 2 sets of the medium compound of tyre. The hard tyres last a very long time, but not quite enough time for us, and also we've got a tyre wear upgrade coming for the next race as well, which just compounds a little bit of misery for us. But we're going to go to 5 red lights for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix here in Shanghai. And it is lights out and away we go. Similar start compared to Carlos Sainz. We go side by side. Hamilton bogs down ahead as Verstappen gets a brilliant launch. And down the inside of Sainz we go into the first corner. But he fights back through the second half of turn 1. Heading towards the apex of turn 2. We try and go down the inside of Lewis Hamilton. But there's contact. Our front left tyre on his right side pod, and we've got bunted back down to 6th place. We're still going to be chasing after Carlos Sainz as we head down towards turn 6, the scenes of many great overtakes in the past. And down the inside of Sainz we go. A brilliant manoeuvre. We're up into 5th place, meaning we've gained 1 position on the opening lap. Pretty good, as we're now the leading car, the leading non-Mercedes or Red Bull car, as George is still in 12th place. We run a little bit wide through turn 8, and that might give either Sergio Perez or Carlos Sainz a sniff as we head through the sort of double apex turns 9 and 10. Try and get a good exit down towards this little short blast as Perez is in our slipstream. He's had a little think about going down the inside, but he decides against it, and now we're still chasing after Lewis Hamilton. We're looking to put the pressure on the guys in front of us and not succumb to the midfield fight because we were so strong in qualifying. We were very close to these guys, and with the car improving all the time, who knows, we might be fighting those guys in the future Grand Prix to come. Head down towards the hairpin for the first time. No action up at the front. Max Verstappen took the lead of this Grand Prix from 3rd on the grid. A brilliant start from the Dutchman ahead of Valtteri Bottas, and then Alexander Albon, then Lewis Hamilton, and then myself to run a little bit wide out of the final corner, but nothing doing as we head across the line for the first time. Second at the end of lap 2. Look how close we are to the back of Lewis Hamilton, just 8/10 with a purple final sector. That is brilliant, just showing the engine power of our car down that very long straight. And as I said, as you saw Jeff say on the radio there, it's pretty close to the pit stops. And yes, the end of lap 3, we're going to come in and make a very early stop. Maybe try and undercut Hamilton, because we won't be able to beat him in a straight fight as we pass the scene of his 2007 accident, which potentially cost him the World Championship. Kimi Raikkonen taking the trophy that season. The end of lap 3, we're coming into the pit lane. It's going to put us plumb last, but we're going to go onto a fresh set of the medium compound of tyre and look to undercut probably both Albon and Hamilton, potentially Valtteri Bottas as well. Those are the guys we're looking to undercut, as we will have plenty of clear air. Those guys still using their worn softs from qualifying, so hopefully we can make good use of this brand spanking new yellow walled medium compound of tyres. We haven't got DRS on Guan Yu Zhou because we were more than a second behind, but through turn 13 we got a brilliant exit. We're chasing after the local hero. We're going to go down the inside of the Williams driver, and our former teammate got past him, and we're up into 21st place. Doesn't sound good, but we're the only person to have made a pit stop so far. Just cut now to the end of lap 6. There is Alexander Albon, sorry, the start of lap 6. We're going to go down the inside of the British tyre driver, and we're up into 20th place. But we have undercut that Red Bull car, and this is really good for our Grand Prix. The fact that we have just undercut him. But Albon fights back on the exit of turn 10. We put a couple of wheels on the grass as we go side by side with the Red Bull driver. But we do fend him off, and we are able to keep hold of 20th place in this Grand Prix. And with our superior engine power as well, you wouldn't bet against us keeping that position for a little while longer as well. As we cut to the end of lap 6, onto the start of lap 7. Plenty of people making their pit stops. As we can see, Lewis Hamilton comes out the pits, and we swoop around the outside of our fellow Brit, of the Mercedes driver. He's now just 1 place behind us. He's gone on to the hard compound of tyre, and this is worrying me a little bit because he's waited so long to pit. Our mediums are 4 laps old already. he might be looking to go to the end of the Grand Prix on that set of tyres with his superior tyre wear. But Latifi's got a big kick of oversteer as we cut to turn 13 on lap 7, and this is going to give us a great opportunity to get past the Canadian driver. We're side by side as we get into the DRS zone, but with our superior engine power, rich mix, overtake and the DRS, we fly past the Williams driver. Towards turn 14, we go up into 14th place. Cut to the end of lap 7. Valtteri Bottas has come in to make his pit stop, and he has gone on to a fresh set of the soft compound tyre, confirming he's doing a 2-stop. He's been our main rival in the rest of this race. Around the outside of the Finn we go, and we're up into 12th place now. This is a net first place of all of the people doing a 2-stop though, but here comes Bottas. He's fighting back into turn 10. He forces us so wide, and that's going to give him a brilliant run. We're going to look to fight back into turn 11, but he just has such superior grip on those very, very new soft compound tyres, and we're down into 13th place. We cut to the end of lap 10. Yellow flag up ahead as Alexander Albon is out of the session, and this is all part of a train. Look, Verstappen and Bottas both in that train. Bottas really not making use of his soft compound of tyres, but look how much all of these guys are holding up each other in this train. And on lap 10, I just thought maybe I should just dive into the pits and put on a fresh set of hards maybe and try and go to the end, because I can't afford to be stuck in this train for so long. I refrained from doing that on lap 10, but then on lap 12 I've had enough of being stuck in this train, and we're just going to dive into the pits for a fresh set of the hard compound of tyre to take us to the end of the Grand Prix. But that does mean is if Hamilton and Verstappen are doing 1-stops, the problem is that means I'm going to be 22 seconds behind them. Because of that, obviously, the 1-stop strategy means you do one less trip to the pit lane, and they're gonna have far more worn hard tyres. But are we 22 seconds quicker than a Mercedes car? Well, we will find out as we strap on the tyres. Another 2-second stop, 2.8 seconds this time as we get passed by Guan Yu Zhou, and we are the final runner on the track. But we cut to the turn number 9 on lap 13, chasing after Guan Yu Zhou. He is squirming all over the place on his medium compound of tyres with pulls to the left hand side, and down the inside into turn 11 we go. It's not really a conventional overtaking spot, as normally people would wait until turn 14 to do it. But George Russell has come into the pits, so when he comes out of the pits, he's going to make his only stop. It's going to show us how much further ahead he is, the 1-stoppers are. We've swept around the outside of Bottas and around the outside of Romain Grosjean to put ourselves up into 18th place. We're still ahead of Bottas. That is the key. We're still the leading 2-stopper. So this is very, very important. Yes, it's frustrating that we've been held up so much, but we're still the leading 2-stopper. It takes us all the way to lap 15 to get past Kimi Räikkönen. We're in the slipstream though. We're using DRS. We've not got a lot of fuel, but we're going to go to the outside this time to try and get past the Finn. We go all the way around the outside of the hairpin, and we're up into 13th place. Kimi tries to fight back, but into the final corner we are much, much more superior. Bottas has finally got past both Räikkönen and Magnussen and Grosjean, but here we go on Lance Stroll. Down the inside of the Canadian we go. He does pull across the track slightly, but we fend him off, and we are up into 12th place now, so getting close to those points. Valtteri Bottas following us through as well as we head into the final corner in 12th place with just a few laps to go. It's taken us ages to catch up to the back of the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo, both on worn hard compound tyres. So hopefully we get past them. We need a good exit through turn 13. See the little twitch from the back of Ricciardo's car. None such action from the JNS racing car as we're using all of the fuel we have. We've not got a lot. Look at that, minus 0.07, but we need to get past the Renault driver and into the braking zone. We go down the inside of the Australian. We go very, very deep, and as we come back onto the circuit, he does actually clip us a little bit, but that doesn't matter because we're up into 11th place. No action, doing a racing incident, and we're just one position off the points. We're now just 6/10 off the points, but more importantly, Valtteri Bottas is so close behind us. There's a big scrap going on up ahead between Kvyat and Sainz and Ocon, and one of the Ferrari cars as well. It's Charles Leclerc joined this fight on the end of lap 23 onto lap 24. Look at all of them concertinaing together. We're in the slipstream of Sainz, who went down the inside of into the first corner on the first lap. Down the inside of Sainz we go on the first corner on lap 24. We need to try and get past some of these guys as well, but a bit like Hamilton, Ocon squeezes us out And that means we've been repassed by Kvyat. So the threat from Valtteri Bottas to take the final point off us is very, very real, as Kvyat and Ocon have broken away a little bit with just 3.5 laps to go. Here comes Valtteri Bottas. Look, we have to jut the car down into lean for a second because we've not got a lot of fuel at all. And Bottas just breezes past us. This is so frustrating because I just fear we're going to miss out on the points just a tiny bit because we've been out-dragged on the straight by the Mercedes car, and there's no action from Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen to come into the pit lane. And yes, on lap 28, we're 1.1 seconds off Bottas, who's got to the back of Kvyat. We're just going to miss out on points. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton all made one-stop strategies work, and that's a disaster. We've been baited into a two-stop by Mercedes, because obviously we were looking to undercut the threat of Bottas, not knowing they were going to go much longer on their soft compound of tyres. And we're going to come through the final corner and finish in 11th place. That is so disappointing.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So that was the Chinese Grand Prix. Obviously, so frustrating, the fact that we didn't pick up any points. Just one position outside. George obviously picked up some good points for the team, showing how effective that one-stop strategy was. And very frustrating that we were also baited into the two-stop by Mercedes. Shame George wasn't up there because he could have done the alternate strategy and we could have fought against them. But it's always a learning curve. We're new at the top here. The car is obviously improving all the time, as are we with our strategies and stuff. So this is all part of a learning curve, but it's good to see that the car is pacey. But if you did enjoy this episode, make sure to like the video. Subscribe if you are new around here and you want to see twice weekly Formula 1 content. I'm uploading every 3 days now in Season 2, so make sure you turn those notifications on so you never miss an episode, and I will catch you at the Dutch Grand Prix next up. Later, guys.